Hello. What's up? How are we doing? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the SLE, and today we have a very interesting game because a lot of the times when it comes to hype matchups, you always refer that to the top teams in the league. But this time, it's a hype matchup because it's the bottom teams in the league, and we've got two teams here. We discussed before we went live. If you lose this, you're basically out of playoffs. Your chances of hitting playoffs is extremely unrealistic. So it's going to be really important for one of these guys to grab a win here.
Definitely so, and I mean, like you said it yourself, bottom tier teams, currently Primordial sitting at a sweet 210. Project Imperior is a little bit higher up with them being 4 on 8 at the moment, so they are, I think, to me, the favorites coming to this as well. And going a little bit into last week's matchups as well, it was Primordials who, in game one against Silver Phoenix, did, in my opinion, a little bit of a toss in a game that they should have never lost, and then ended up losing, I believe, the second game as well. So Primordials heading into the series lost 2-0 last week to Silver Phoenix. Silver Phoenix in themselves being a very good team, but nonetheless, they are coming off of a loss from last week when Project Imperior actually against Powder Monkeys of all teams took a 2-0 win. So if we're talking about momentum, if we're talking about who are the favorites coming into this and who is more likely to win based on last week, based on standings, it is definitely Project Imperior.
Yeah, Project Imperial are definitely a strong team. I don't think you can count them out. Like, despite them being at the bottom of these standings in the SLE, they're still a team that you have to respect. And if you watch their games, they play very, very aggressive and they don't hold back as we enter draft. Do you expect anything out of this draft? Because I'm expecting some spice.
I mean, I was gonna say I expect the Aatrox ban for sure. That is like one of the things that you rarely see open against Project Imperior. They are a team that definitely like to run the Aatrox in the top lane. Adamo is one of, if not his most played champion. So definitely it is good to see that that is gonna be taken away as well. I feel like outside of that, there aren't any sort of obvious picks or obvious bans. Obviously, now that the world's planes have started spiced up, has already started to progress, we could potentially see some influence over to the SLE depending on who actually watches Worlds and who doesn't. But I'm expecting for still some solid bans, obviously, and first picks. The meta hasn't really changed that much since in the last 2 weeks, so still Kai Sazaya, very good champions at the moment, and Jinx is someone that after the bans that we saw has heavily started to come up in the meta.
Yeah, Jinx has always had a pretty decent presence in the SLE. I feel like sometimes SLE has its own mascots, and Jinx is one of them. Also, I think Ninnis has been playing this champion a few times. You speak about Worlds and what we've seen so far. Jinx is risen in meta, and that kind of means so does Vi come into strength, and we'll see if PI will pick up the VI.
Definitely so, and of course Melio, big buffs on her as well. And that's a little bit at least what I was scared of heading into this patch, because now that Jinx is buffed, I feel like the bot lane meta is gonna get a lot more boring. We are gonna start seeing things like Jinx, to like Ezreal on the side of Project Imperior this time around going up against the Jinx, and Victor as well. That's not a surprise pickup for me at all. It is one of most Kaneki's play champions. It is something that he likes to run, something he ran last week as well in the matchup against Powder Monkeys, and something that he's seen great success with. So definitely not surprised to see Powder Monkeys or Project Imperior pick that up.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show what the priority is for Project Imperium, because usually on red side you want to leave your solo lanes to be picked later on in the draft, but they're gonna just go with the Victor early. Primordials will go with the Aria to answer that, which means I do believe Project Imperium will probably look for a counter pick either in support or top lane, and I can imagine Primordials will look for either a support or jungle pick here.
Definitely so, and in my opinion, it should be the jungle pick. I feel like you have to slam an aggressive jungler. If you don't slam an aggressive jungler, you already talked about this earlier, someone like Levi has been seeing a lot more play. Is gonna be the Maokai this time around, which is still beautiful setup in these early levels on the side of Primordials with that Ari as well. But I think if you're gonna take the Maokai, I would have personally preferred the Syndra against the Victor, and I know it is something that the side of Primordials do play very often, so in my opinion, would have been the better pick, but still a very strong early game and a very strong mid-jungle duo coming out of Primordials.
Yeah, definitely so. And we see a little bit of a Blitz Kranko action. Champion that I would say is had a bit of a highlight reel in the SLE. I feel like whenever I see this champion, it's landing some crazy hooks. We have some great um, Blitzcrank players, and I think Project Imperior support, I believe his name is Firecracker, a really, really good Blitzcrank player. Firecracker might be the AD carry's name. But yeah, I think Blitz is really, really nice, but the only issue here is if Primordial surround this Jinx with a load of frontline, a load of peel, and then Blitzcrank will become a lot more difficult to play.
Definitely. So, and it is Firecracker who is going to be running support for Project Imperior today. And speaking of actually the players, now that you did bring that up, there's a couple of switches on the side of Primordials. This time around it is going to be Slan in the top lane and Ninus in the mid lane, with Raichurn going to be going to the AD carry role. So that does mean that this is why we're potentially seeing some different picks coming out of Primordials. We're used to seeing Ninus in that AD carry role, this time playing the mid lane, which just spices things up even more in a matchup that's already hype for both of these teams.
Yeah. I really like what Primordials have done here because if anyone remembers their previous splits, this is the setup that they went with: Raichurn in AD carry and Ninus in mid lane. And I think coming into Split 5, people were kind of questioning what were the points of these roster changes. I think a lot of people saw Ninus in mid, they saw Raichurn play AD carry, and they got results, or at least far better results than they're getting this split. And so there was a lot of confusion going into why they decided to swap certain players into their different roles. But, you know, they're going back to normal. Not exactly normal because Arlefeld, who a lot of people consider their star player, still sitting in support, unless that's changed. But yeah, I think Primordials, you can see they're entering. They understand this is do or die because you know they said the role swap isn't working. Let's try a game up against an opponent that we believe we can beat, and let's go back to our normal roles.
Sometimes, man, when things aren't working out, sometimes when you do find yourself in a 2-on-10 situations, gotta go back to the basics, gotta go to what was working for your team, and Primordials are gonna try to do just that. We do see the final lock-in come through. Now it's gonna be the Darius in the top lane into the Sion. A very good matchup for the side of Project Imperial. Should be a lot of prio in the top lane, at least for the early game for their side. Swain, Sion picked up on side of Primordials in those last couple of picks, and you were talking about the tanky frontline around the Jinx. This is about as much frontline as you can get with a Maokai, Sion, and a Swain surrounding that Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx will have a lot of protection, but when I'm looking at the champions that Project Imperial have, like Victor can do damage to Jinx in the middle of a fight from far away. You drop the Chaos Storm, you click on Jinx, it'll follow her, and I think Project Imperial definitely have tools to get onto this Jinx. And I mean, usually the case with lower end teams, you know, respectfully, you are aiming to draft for that late game scaling. And on my screen right now, I think outside of Darius, there is a lot of late game here. There's Victor, Ezreal, Jinx, Lilia, Swain, Sion, you know, so expect a brawl. Because I think this is going to be a very exciting game, like two drafts, and I think, yeah, as you said, Darius really get into Sion, and well, when it comes to picking Darius in competitive, you got to make the most of it because you're not going to run teleport. You're mostly running Ghost. You're probably playing more for yourself than you are for your team. So if you're not getting the solo kills in lane, then the Darius will lose a lot of value in the draft.
Definitely so, and I mean, nowadays you tend to see a lot more of these aggressive top laners. Nonetheless, Sion obviously has been a champion that has been around for a very long time, which is why people still run it. But we have been seeing things like the Darius, not necessarily in SLE, but in pro play, for example, we're seeing things like a Fiora, things like Jax's, the Darius, is a lot more of these aggressive top laners, and people are just getting into the mindset in the top lane of just I'm willing to duke it out. I'm willing to stop picking these boring tank top laners and just see what's gonna happen. This time, it's Project Imperior who have drafted themselves a Darius, a winning matchup in that top lane, but I'm a little bit concerned for the side of Primordials because outside of this Jinx, there isn't really like any team fight DPS. Yeah, you have the Swain as a drain tank, but against something like a Victor, against something like an Ezreal, there's gonna be a lot of damage coming out from the side of Project Imperior, especially like you said in these later stages of the game, from an Ezreal, from a Victor, and as a Swain, I'm not entirely sure if your healing can keep up with that. So if the side of Project Imperior can find this Jinx, if they can find the Primordials AD carry in these team fights, they could be in trouble and there could be a lack of consistent damage on the side of Primordials.
Yeah, it could be. And Orion to Victor, so I saw them hovering Syndra, and I feel like looking at it, that would have been a much better pick than the Ori here. Not saying Ori is a bad pick per se. I think Ori is really good into Victor. You can always look for solo kills onto Kaneki here, but I think yeah, as you said, there's a lack of consistent damage, and a champion like Syndra would have been able to provide that. But speaking of lack of consistent damage, I think over on the side of Project Imperium, they've got plenty of consistent damage. Those Victor lasers, those Ezra Qs, once they hit their power spikes, as tanky as the Primordials frontline is, these are some of the best champions to take down these heavy front lines. I haven't even touched on the Darius or the Lilia, so I think draft wise, it's definitely like I would say Primordials' draft is easier to play, and with the two bottom tier teams in the league, that's always a plus. But as a whole, I think Project Imperium's draft is very good into the front line of Primordials.
I definitely agree. I feel like Project Imperial's draft is a lot more well-rounded, so to speak. You already talked about there being late game scaling as well, but you have some early game as well in this area. So if you do want to make some plays towards that top side, obviously, putting a Scion behind isn't always the best move considering he is a Scion and he is gonna get tanky nonetheless. But I think it's more so about getting your Darius ahead and putting the Scion behind because if you do get this Darius ahead, if you can get him a couple of kills in the early game, that lane is going to become very hard to play very quickly for the side of Primordials. And then if you have a fed Darius running around, we've all seen what it can do and we've all seen how painful it can be to deal with. Yes, there's a lot of lockdown on the side of Primordials for this Darius, but if you focus all your lockdown on the Darius, then there's the Victor lasers that we were talking about earlier. There's going to be the Ezreal Mystic shots from that backline. And if you have no cooldowns left for the squishies, for these carries on Subject Imperior, and then you get the free fire, even if you get the Darius, you might still just find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, you definitely will. And you know, you mentioned the Darius being hard to catch. I think there's one champion on my screen that is even more difficult to catch, which is the Lilia. And for Primordials, you're in the face of both of them. And if you ask the question who's won the draft, I think it's hard to give a specific winner because, as I said, I do think Primordials' draft is by no means bad. It's just up against these particular champions, it is tricky, um, and so it's like hard to give a draft win to one specific team, um, but it's just like you're dealing with a Darius and Lilia. If Darius gets fed, it's basically done and dusted. If Lilia gets ahead in early game, there's not much you can do from that point. But of course, Roshan, we know him, old school AD carry. He's back on his role, and I'm excited to see if he's got that AD carry intuition still.
Definitely. So maybe he spent too much time in the mid lane, to be able to play ADC again. Now he's gone into the mid lane mindset, and now he's just a little bit doomed. But it'll be interesting to see whether he can sort of, like you said, get back into that AD carry mentality. Jinx is definitely one of those champions where it is all about positioning. Positioning is king. That is why generally people who sort of start league are often told to play things like Jinx, play things like Ashe, because mechanically these champions aren't that hard. You sort of the chompers are in Jinx's kit the hardest thing to really use well, just because they have a little bit of a timer once you set them down before they end up activating, as well as that ultimate. Being able to aim that can mean the difference between life and death as well for some of the champions on the enemy team. But it's all about positioning, like I said earlier, and like you said, there's been a little bit of a break for Reichern in the AD carry role, so it'll be definitely interesting to see if on a champion, yes, as simple as Jinx, whether you can have good positioning, whether your positioning is still there, because especially against a champion like Blitzcrank, if you miss position for even 1 second and this other Project Imperior decides to pull the trigger and you get hooked, you're gonna get hooked into a Victor, you're gonna get hooked into a Lilia, into a Darius. You're pretty much gonna get insta-gibbed and your life is just gonna be over the second you get hooked.
Yeah, it's gonna be absolutely over. So, Blitzcrank, I think the reason why it's such a big pick in the SLE is it's one of those champions that when it comes to punishing mistakes, he's one of the best that you can select. And I'm obviously not saying SLE makes so many mistakes, but there are mistakes to be happen. You can almost guarantee someone is gonna misposition, someone is gonna, you know, whiff a flash over a wall, or someone's gonna panic and forget how to press the buttons. And Blitzcrank, one hook can change a team fight. If Reichern is kind of walking around in the fog of war, Blitzcrank lands that lucky hook, kill the Jinx, no more consistent damage, wipe the rest of the team, go Baron, and then you're in a game-winning position. So I love the Blitzcrank, especially when it comes to the SLE. I've seen it succeed a lot, very well, in the league, and yeah, I like to see it. I think a champion that isn't too common in the SLE this split, it is the Swain. I don't think we haven't seen too much Swain. What are your takes on how strong this champion is right now?
I think it definitely can work, especially in certain matchup and against certain champions. It can do the trick. Swain tends to be one of those things where it can sort of be unpredictable and it can sneak up on you. You know, you're playing against the Swain and suddenly he pops ultimate. He's got that Leandris. He's just draining and he just doesn't die. Conqueror gets popped and then he's just slowly but surely killing your team. And you can definitely get into those situations when you have these sort of close range champions, like you have the Lilia, like you have the Darius, where you need to be up in people's faces, right? And if the Swain pops the ultimate, it can be a little bit difficult to deal with, but that's the thing. Against consistent backline damage, we talked about this earlier, Swain can be a little bit difficult to pilot. I do expect the early game to still go towards Project Imperior. Like we said, they have the Blitzcrank, and we are finally on the Rift. It's not gonna be orange support like they put last week, but already seeing an aggressive invade come through for Primordials.
Invade indeed, and well, Makai Saplings will be able to suss that one out, and I think Primordials were well equipped, knowing that there's a Blitzcrank on the other team. But Firecracker is gonna turn back around. Warriors, oh yeah, actually, I have to say it was a very, very well prepared level 1 up against the Blitzcrank here from Primordials.
Definitely so. I do like to see the re-invade come through though, because Firecracker knows that they saw them sort of walk out and then he just inches his way back in. Sometimes you will catch somebody just being lazy standing in the bush. So I do still feel like it is good from the side of Project Imperial to still go for that. They don't really lose anything if they do just a little bit of mana, but already seeing some aggressive positioning now on the bot lane.
Oh yes, and the Never Move is gonna whiff, so Firecracker knows that Ahlefeld's there. Probably not much happening, probably just pressing buttons. As I mean, personally, I don't expect a heavy, intensive early game. So, I can imagine that. Well, I mean, when it comes to bottom teams, usually they fight a lot, right? But just looking at the champions in front of me, I don't expect much to be happening in the early game.
Definitely so. And I mean, I would say the same thing, but last time I said the same thing, I was like first blood in 3 minutes, and then the game just completely blew up in front of my face. So I'm
Yeah.
just not gonna this time. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna hold my tongue to myself. But we're already seeing Firecracker fishing for a lot of these hooks and early push as well, going for the side of Primordials, which can be a little bit dangerous because you are seeing the side of Project Imperial, Fatal Stabber, is going to be moving towards that bot lane. Although a little bit of training in the top side, but it's just going to be some HP from Slan, and that's going to be about it.
Yeah, but you can already see this is exactly how the Darius wants to play the matchup. And speaking of Raisha back on his roll, I'm seeing his like small micro movements, and this is why he wasn't exactly a top 80 carry when he was playing, but he was definitely respected by his opponents. So yeah, nice to see him back. But yeah, Darius already like farm numbers. It's looking rough for Slayon, and I think for him it's just about trying to get through the lane phase.
Definitely so, and survival, right? In the Sion versus Darius matchup, when you're on a tank, it is all about survival. You just need to make sure you pick up any CS that you can. Dropping a couple of CS is completely fine if you don't fall behind on XP. I feel like you're gonna get your items no matter what. You're gonna be that beefy, tanky frontline, and we are as well. Seeing Wolf slowly make his way towards his bot side. Both of these junglers, interestingly enough, clearing towards this bot lane. And if we do get ourselves in a situation where it's a 3v3 in the early game with these AD carries, with these supports and these junglers, I would imagine it is a move that Project Imperior would very much be favored to go for with the Blitzcrank. You can just pick off one target very easily if the hook does land, and if it's Reichern who gets hooked, very much so in trouble.
Could be, as Firecracker going to step up aggressively here. And we talk about if he gets hooked, he's going to go down. Flashing away from Raven, why the Wolves is going to arrive. So it's the 3 versus 2. Firecracker is going to try flash to safety and we'll get first blood instead. Olafeld going to try put some damage down onto Raven here. Fatal Stabber has arrived. The ball is going to whiff and he's going to try and flash forward with the Q. Fatal Stabber actually taking some big damage here. Olafeld is going to try and finish him off, but the kill is going to go to Raven as he takes over the turret aggro. So perfectly played from Project Imperior, and they go 2 kills to 1.
Project Imperior with a quick start to the game, and the engage was just beautiful. If I was Vavin there, I would have followed up with a flash. So I feel like it is good to see that he held on to that, and you just saw Firecracker and Raven immediately turned around, right? It was a little bit questionable of a flash from Fatal Stabber. I think he might have missed just his damage a little bit, but even a more confusing move coming out from Ahlefeld. I feel like it's interesting to see him stick around there just because I feel like he could have just walked away and would have been completely fine. I feel like trading 1-for-1 there isn't the worst thing in the world. When you're seeing who the kills went to, obviously for Ravin ended up picking up a kill plus an assist means he's gonna get himself an early sheen, and this is, in my opinion, if you're the sort of Project Imperior, when you're looking at a Victor, you're looking at an Ezreal, a lot of scaling picks, a kill and an assist onto your Ezreal 5 minutes into the game is exactly the start that you want to see.
Yeah, great start from Project Imperial already, and the Jinx isn't exactly behind. You're only 4 CS down, but no flashes available, meaning that is a Jinx that Firecracker can position aggressively, hex flash, and yep, as we saw, if she gets hooked, she's basically good as dead. So scary situation there for Primordials, and I mean, yeah, about Ahlefeld's decision there to try and take down the Lily. I can see, I kind of see what he was going for. Like, you land E, oh my god,
Jesus.
you land E and Q, and then probably the Lilia dies. I think what Project Imperial did really well there was juggle the aggro, and well, talking about Hedge Slash's Firecracker, is going to go straight for Raisha, doesn't go for him, and actually Ahlefeld is the target, and the Swain is going to flash to safety. Raven, you can imagine he's going to go for the Arcane Shift over the wall, whiffs out on the Q. That's an Ezreal. You do not do that much auto attack damage. I believe the Krugs was able to finish off the kill, but a kill to Raisha means disaster for Raven in the bot lane.
It's just over-aggression, the story of today, it feels like. First it was Fatal Stabber down in the bot lane, this time it's Reicher, now it's gonna be Ninus in trouble.
Yeah, Ninus is gonna be the focus here, dodges away from the ball, but that's a very predictable Ahri ultimate, so Firecracker will hook him away. Oh, sorry, her. And, well, the flash expended and no teleport available for the Ahri, so Victor will be able to get a free push here. And this is what I meant about the Blitzcrank already making big impact in the game.
Flash expended, ultimate expended, this is gonna be a very volatile Ahri in the mid lane for at least the next 5 minutes or until that ultimate comes back on up. But again, already down towards the bot lane.
They're already down, and the Never Move is gonna land,
Oh,
but so does the hook. The bowling ball actually misses despite Firecracker landing the hook. So Fatal Stabber is gonna go down. That's the Jinx reset. He goes excited. A double kill in, a traded back kill, but Aston Ezreal up against two members, and the bot lane of Primordials are online, and this is why they made the swaps.
Rhyshern unleashed in the bot lane 3-0 on this Jinx, and this bot lane is just relentless from both sides. A beautiful hook from Firecracker, and they just couldn't burst him down on time. You gotta question if that bowling ball hit, it might have been the difference between the kill. I feel like the communication there coming out from the side of Project Imperior just wasn't as good as it could have been. I feel like it at least looked to me like both Revan and Fatal Stubber were a little bit surprised at the hook hit and then kind of just weren't ready to go in on it. But still, good work there from the bot lane of Primordials as well as Wolves to be there on time by themselves, the space they needed to get Ryshan all of those kills. And Noonquiver plus tier 2 boots means that this Jinx is already getting accelerated.
Very, very good for Ryshan here, and you have to feel so sad for Project Imperial because this came off Ezreal doing a bit of a greedy play, giving a free kill over to a Jinx, which is literally the last thing you want to do in the early game. Give a kill over to a late game hype carry like a Jinx, and you can already see they're having to pay the price for it. 3 kills on the board, and Primordials could win this game.
Definitely. So, and it's just split second decisions, right? Like Raven, you could see if he wanted to go for that play, he had to immediately flash towards the wall and arcane shift over. Otherwise, it was gonna be too late. And already seeing Ninus is down here with the Cosmic Rush, so we could potentially see some action. But Raven and Firecracker knows he has been spotted out. We'll just go to back on away. This first Drake gonna be a Cloud Drake, means that I doubt either team will have too high of a prio on it. Not the best first Drake in the world to have, although we are engaged in the mid
I'm
lane.
seeing on my mini map that there's action in the mid lane as a charm is going to land onto Kaneki. Doesn't have the flash available. Ignite dropped onto him, but he will just have to walk away with his life. Flash blown, so the Victor is a vulnerable target now.
This could be a dragon angle for the side of Primordials if they want to take it, right? You burned Kaneki's flash, he has no TP, which you should know, so they should just start the Drake here. Bot lane prio as well. Ryshan is level 7, he's very strong on this Jinx at the moment. Fatal Stabber is around though. Let's just get clawed on out, and this should be an interesting fight here coming out.
Potentially, why the Wolves doesn't have the Nature's Grasp available, so we'll just chuck a sapling in the bush and walk away now. Firecracker, he has flash available. He could do something here, but yeah, great initiative from LFL to start him out there.
Definitely so, but Fatal Stabber is still looking, he's still hunting around. I feel like the side of Primordials might sniff this one out, but this could be very dangerous for the side of Primordials if they don't. Okay, with the hook, I doubt there's gonna be a play here, but Fatal Stabber is around and he's spending a lot of time to make this happen.
Yeah, a lot of time, and does have the Lilting Lullaby available, but with Why the World's hanging nearby, so will be the flash Q forward. Lilting Lullaby, sleep onto 2, and the full combo follows up. True Shot Barrage, and all the damage needed to take down Ryshan. The shutdown is secured, and a double kill for Fatal Stabber. That is the reward for patience as the Lilia gets 2 kills, and the focus on the dragon here.
Definitely. So we talked about the time, the patience, and Fatal Stabber with the flash and the sleep did manage to get those 2 kills picked up. Good plan coming up from Project Imperior, right? They know for a fact that the bush is not worth it, so Fatal Stabber just waits, bides his time, immediate flash in, post the trigger, True Shot Barrage hitting 2 as well is just perfect for the side of Project Imperial. They are gonna get themselves an early dragon as well for it, but like I said earlier, yes, it is an early Cloud Drake, so it's not the best thing in the world, but the important thing is, with it being an early Cloud Drake, it takes the Cloud Soul off the table, which means we are potentially looking at a Mountain Soul, potentially looking at a Chemtech Soul, and a Mountain Soul on someone like a Darius can be very good.
Yeah, really good indeed, and interestingly enough, to say, not too much action here in the top lane because I mean, usually Darius probably picks up 1 or 2 solo kills in this lane, but I noticed Slayon went for Ghost, so probably hard to chase him down, and Adamo didn't, so kind of makes sense, but big CS lead with the Darius slowly and quietly building up a lead. Not much action in the solo lanes here. A lot of focus in bot lane.
Yeah, all the action has been in the bot lane, right? We've got what, 11 kills so far in this game, and you can see, like you said it earlier, Someone's top lane, no action, 0-0-0 for both of them, but even in the mid lane, 0-0-0 as well. We did see that one gank go towards the mid lane, but it just ended up burning Kaneki's flash, and that was about it. Although, I would like to see the side of Primordials potentially look for Kaneki. While his flash is down, that is a long cooldown. All the Scion ultimate is not gonna reach, I believe, should just be going for the wave and should just be a base for Adamon here.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that mid lane aspect, because, I mean, the whole point of burning a Victor's flash is for the next 5 minutes, he is a sitting duck. You have Maokai, you have Inari. You can even send a Swain to walk up a little bit and throw a W on top of him, you know? I don't like how they've sort of blown the flash and just gone like, he's got no flash now. It's fine. You know, you gotta make the most of that. And like, when a Victor has no flash, that's one of the most immobile mages that has no immediate CC, and actually his card control is conditional. Like, you have to stay in there for about, like, 2 seconds anyway. But yeah, Fatal Stabber has arrived back in the bot lane to do some more damage to Primordials, and True Shot Barrage is gonna get Raven a kill, and Fatal Stabber doing some big work in the bot lane.
More action in the bot lane. This is the hotspot for both of these teams. This is where all the action is gonna be happening. But you can see Firecracker moving into the mid lane, and I do admit I 100% agree with you. That's why you burn the flash on things like the Victor, things like the Syndra, so you can re-gank it. Even things like a Jinx, for example, an immobile AD carry, so you can re-gank it. And it's just so much easier to kill these champions when they don't have the movement spell.
Speaking of re-ganks, Firecracker might gank himself as he almost died there. Yeah. Sorry for interrupting you, as Kaneki is going to be the focus. There's the flash down once again. Chaos Storm going to be propped on the ground to push Ninus away. Firecracker is going to land a beautiful hook onto the Ahri, but that super mega death rocket doesn't come in time to get the kill, but it's going to do big damage to the mid jungle of Project Imperior. Fatal Stabber going to rush forward while the Wolves takes the W in to try and survive, but Fatal Stabber is running away with this game.
Definitely so. Cannot run away from that many passive stacks on the Lydia. But I gotta admit, so far I am seeing why Reichern, or not Reichern, sorry, Firecracker prefers his Blitzcrank, because these hooks are on fire as we take a look back at the replay as well. And Firecracker, just a beautiful hook onto Ninus there, and they pop the Ahri immediately. It was a good Super Mega Death Rocket, like you said to yourself as well. Did some extra damage, and Wolves, good twisted advance to try to outplay Stabber there, try to make sure that he lives, but the damage was just too damn much, and just some more action in the bot lane. But this time, it spilled over to the mid lane. Kaneki finally gets himself on the board.
He gets himself on the board, and that's going to be some passive stacks for him. You can already see he's got that upgraded E. He'll be able to push in this RE even more. And so now that Victor's flash is down once again. And if you're Primordials, you definitely want to spend these next 5 minutes just sitting mid lane and punishing that Victor out. But instead, it seems like Wild Wolves will focus on bot lane here.
Once again, you know, they said screw the mid lane, we're just gonna keep burning the flash and just go bot lane like we have done all game, like both teams have done all game. And you can see as well, this time around, it's not just the Wolves, Ninus as well said, I want some action on this seems fun to me. Made himself down there as well. It's gonna cost him a wave in the mid lane just to hover his bot lane, but sometimes it is worth it when you're trying to make a play. It's gonna be Infernal Dragon up next, which means this might be a bit higher priority for both of these teams. And I do agree with you, Sovanix. This time I need to see Wolves in that mid lane. I need to see Kaneki get a little bit abused, because you are looking at a Maokai and Ahri. I talked about in draft how strong this mid jungle duo is, but so far we haven't seen it really get used, as it's gonna be Project Imperior starting upgrade.
They have started up the trade. It is just one person doing it for now. You can see in your minimap, Ninnis is going to get the first move here, but it won't be an aggressive move as Kaneki enters straight into the river. Ninnis now is going to show, and Hook already landing onto the Jinx. That Reichern is going to be dead, completely wiped off the map as Raven will take him down. Double kill coming in for the Project Imperior AD carry. Olafeld is the next in line. The Swain ultimate is not going to keep you alive, and Project Imperior, they are slowly running away with this game as the Ori was just nowhere to be seen in that fight.
And Project Imperior, again, the Greeks are just turning Primordials into salad right now as Caesar is in the house, and you can just see it all starts off with the bowling ball onto Reichern. Big damage coming through. I'm a little bit surprised that Stabber didn't end up sleeping the Jinx there. Would have been a lot easier of a catch. Ends up going down nonetheless. And at this point, it is just the side of Primordials running for the hills, trying to get out with as many members as they can. But guess what? The amount of members they got out with is a round zero because it was a free slaughterhouse for the side of Project Imperior.
Yeah, I'm finding the fact that Blitz hooks landing onto the Jinx so hilarious because you've got this huge, like as you said in draft, you do have this chunky front line, and it's like Blitz hook comes through and they're just like make way, open the gates, and then suddenly Reichern's just dead. And yeah, Primordials, actually, Sleon might get a solo kill onto Adama. Why the Wolves is gonna throw a sapling. Adama, there's a sapling running you down. Yeah, I believe this Darius is dead here. He doesn't have the flash. We'll try to teleport out. I have no idea what I have just witnessed on my screen. And Kaneki is actually just followed with a teleport. And that's going to be into the hands of 3 members. But that Victor is strong. That is no laughing matter. As Firecracker is going to provide some support. Landing another hook. And Primordials, once again, they overstay their welcome, and Project Imperior get more kills on the board.
Oh, 7X, you might be laughing, but I don't think the side of Primordials are, because they're just getting read like a book in here.
What a TP from Adama. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it's bad.
I thought for a second he TP'd onto his own tower just as a flex to distract the enemy, and then Kaneki TP's in as well. It's like a big surprise party. You're like, ooh, you are now here. But like you said, Kaneki doing so much damage on this Victor, right? And it just cleans house entirely. And now you're...
Yeah, Firecracker gets charmed under the turret, and Reichern is going to be the benefactor of that one. Ninnis has 3 charges of the Spirit Rush available. We'll see if this RA will jump forward aggressively. It does seem like that will just be the backup for now, as they have spotted 2 members of Project Imperior doing the Rift Herald. They haven't gotten an objective this game, and they won't get this one, but Fatal Stabber will have to pop the stasis for now. The traps did not get placed properly, but the shutdown does go to the Jinx anyway. It will get traded back, but some gold into the pocket of the Jinx, and already Infinity Edge completed for him.
Burn, baby, burn! Fatal Stabber with the afterlife ends up killing Reichern there, and it is gonna be Herald going for the way of Project Imperior. I'm not entirely sure if that's worth or not, but I'm sure they can argue to that till the ends of the earth. And Kaneki now in trouble in the solo lane, but with Sleon not going to challenge that too much, it is gonna be Kaneki just making a run for the hills. But so far, Firecracker, he is definitely being a firecracker on this Blitzcrank, because whoo-wee, this guy does not miss any hooks.
Nah, he's not missing any hooks today, and another stellar Blitzcrank performance, kind of making Primordials wonder, do we really need to take this Blitzcrank out? The answer to that for Firecracker is, if you don't, I'm gonna hook your champions over and over again, as that seems to be the tale of the story of this game. And Primordials, they're not exactly down and out, despite the kill lead. The gold lead isn't awful. It's still there. But yeah, Project Imperior ahead of this game, and I think they're in a good position right now.
Definitely so, and I mean, you have 2 options. Either you ban the Blitzcrank, or then we start putting the Swain in front of the Jinx. You know, and we start blocking some of these hooks like they haven't been doing so far. But it's actually a sneaky Baron coming out of Primordials here.
Yeah, Sneaky Baron coming out. The hook is gonna whiff Fatal Stabber. No vision on him, but the bowling ball will reveal him for now. You can see Slayon has only 1 kill participation, is potentially gonna start taking part in this game. Fatal Stabber has entered the Baron pit. A hook going to land onto Olafel. Didn't even get the ultimate off. Firecracker is actually gonna go down to the Maokai. Slayon has entered the fight, but it's too late as a quadra kill. Not a quadra kill. Triple kill will come in for the Lilia, and Project Imperior get the ace. They will get the Baron.
Immediate backline access for Fatal Stabber in that fight, and I gotta admit, I'm a little bit confused as to the side of Primordials, because you can just see the call is to just protect the Jinx. The Jinx is 2 items, Infinity Edge Kraken, and Wolves just says, no, 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 walks on out of the pit as soon as Fatal Stabber jumps in, and Reichern just gets left to the Wolves, and it just means that the entire side of Primordials just gets completely swept out. Project Imperior ends up taking the team fight very decisively for themselves. Like you said, take a Baron at the back end of that as well. And looks like it is going to be a Chemtech Soul on the map, so no Mountain Soul unfortunately for the side of Project Imperior, but I feel like them having a 10-on-3 Lilia, this Dragon is going to be the least of what they're concerned about right now.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited to see if Adamo types top diff at the end of this game because, yeah, kind of just chilling on his own on the side lane. But, yeah, I think Primordials, you could see, I don't know if it's like a lack of communication there, but you saw Alafeld kind of trying to frontline on one side. Then you saw Why the Wolves going on Fatal Stabber, who entered the Baron pit by himself. And then the carries were all hitting different targets, so I think you can just tell based off this game, Project Imperior, they seem to be better gelled as a team, and off that they will start this dragon up. Baron already secured, and I don't imagine Primordials will contest this.
Yeah, I don't either. It does look like it's just gonna go for the direction of Project Imperior. Greece going strong at the moment, and I definitely do agree. This has been an interesting top lane so far. We do see 32 kills on the board, and KPA of 3 out of those has been in the top lane, but Wolves with the ultimate now. They're just gonna zone them
Yeah,
all.
Nature's Grasp is gonna lock up 2. Fatal Stabber landing a massive bowling ball. The Lilting Lullaby, that's going to catch the Jinx. Raven taking down the Ori already, while the Wolves having to flash away from the turret. A Scion ultimate is going to land onto multiple members. Big knock-up as well. Olafeld with the Swain ultimate is going to be able to tank up a lot here. Reicher brought to low HP. Keep your eyes on Raven. Keep your eyes on Reicher. These are the 2 damage dealers. Fatal Stabber is going to go down. That's a massive kill in the fight. And Primordials, they could potentially take this. The Jinx passive is going down. Get excited, but get excited to your death, because Raven is doing the big damage on the Ezreal. 2 members down. Project Imperior, the hook is going to go wide. Never move landing onto the Blitzcrank. Olafeld will be able to pick up that kill. Why the Wolves and Olafeld going to be in a 2v1. It's just too little too late, as the carries of Project Imperior will carry the rest of the fight.
And Wolves just twisted, advancing himself into
Wait,
his
hang
own
on,
death.
it might not be it there, because Ninnis does have the Spirit Rush available. We'll use 2 charges for now. The Charm is going to go down. Use your 3rd one, please. Okay, never mind. Well, you will get the kill onto the Victor, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's worth it, right? Linus gets a shot down there, but again, going back over the team fight, it was just the side of Primordials finally having their tanks in the front. Reichern free hitting in the back, gets excited, like you said, and Adamo as well just going down and just giving Reichern another stack on in. Raven doing a beautiful job of just staying alive, doing a beautiful job of spacing himself to make sure that no one could reach him in that fight, and this Ezreal with 3 items is gonna be outputting so much damage. Kaneki wasn't there at the start of the fight, which is why it looked so decisive for the side of Primordials, right? A 4v5 is, even if you're behind, still worth it to take. And now you can see the Project Imperior just encroaching onto Wolves, as he is gonna go have to use the ultimate to get himself on out. And so far, Project Imperior with a sizable gold lead in this game.
Sizable gold lead indeed, and well, yeah.
He's gone.
I love how he was like, I really need to use the maximum distance of my ultimate. Yeah, is that, well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the Sion ultimate is quite low cooldown, so I guess it's fine, but yeah, Project Imperial really far ahead, and well, Primordials will have to play defense now.
Definitely so. And I mean, you are just looking at the threats on hook. Well,
Ooh,
okay,
and why the Wolves just eating everything to their face, and we'll just go down straight away. 11 kills for this Ezreal now, and well, Fatal Stabber will just flash forward. Russian is going to get the first kill for Primordials in this fight. Arlefeld is going to get taken down in response. This Ezreal is going absolutely crazy. Will use the Arcane Shift defensively. Firecracker is going to flash forward. What a hook onto the Jinx, and there goes the legendary Ezreal from Greece, as he's going to push through with the rest of his team, and the Crowned Kings hold the crown even further. The Primordial Legend will go down in game 1, as there will be a push onto the base of Primordial. Slayon has recall to try and defend what remains of their base, and well, they will be able to defend for now, but you have to feel Project Imperior, they will just be able to close this out after that team fight.
definitely so. And I mean, yeah, the game might not be over, but it's over. You know, this is this is one of those times where it's just so much scaling on the side of Project Imperial. Although we do have to push in advance.
Yeah, the Nature's Grasp is going to get pulled down, as yes, Lilia looks great, and Arlefeld will pop the ultimate here. Super Mega Death Rocket only hits Firecracker. Slayer and brought to low HP, but that's a chunky zone. I actually believe he's going to go down here. No, he survives, and the fight is going to go really good for Primordials. This is exactly what they needed. Ninus with a massive combo with one of the Wolves gets herself a triple kill. This could be a massive turnaround for Primordials, but kind of whiffs out on Kaneki here. We'll get a quadra kill. Could we see a pentakill here? As actually the burn is going to take down the Ahri, and it's going to be a 1 versus 2. Lily has a fantastic champion to be able to pull this one through. A sleep onto 2. Russian is going to be here to try and DPS this Lilia down. The traps, this time it's good, and it's going to be more auto attacks, and Primordials, they are coming back into the game.
I want to apologize to the side of Project Imperial because I think I completely cursed them, but it was a great shutdown coming out from Ninus there. Like you said, a quadra kill for him. As soon as I say the game is like not over and it's over, it's just Project Imperial says, no, no, no. We must try take one more fight before basing. We are greedy boys. The side of Primordial says, listen, it's time for you to go back to base. You have had enough. End up picking themselves up an ace. And that's, I mean, it is still 10k gold, but you know, Sovanix, I want to believe. I want to be the good guy.
How Primordials just aced them this behind? I'm so confused. Where did Darius die? Oh, anyway, I mean, Darius is fighting Sion right now. Adamo, seen too much of him this game, but he's going to try and...
Oh.
Okay, for some reason this time you don't want to use the max distance, as Raven has now arrived. Gonna try put down some damage onto him. Here comes the Nature's Grasp. That's gonna land onto Firecracker, and he's all alone. And as you can see, the Jinx is doing massive damage in this team fight. Rachen is gonna get excited. That's actually gonna be a 1 for 2 for now, as actually Primordial's currently still winning out in the team fight. The Bowling Ball is gonna land onto the Ahri, so the Lilsing Lullaby only onto 1, and Project Imperial, they will feel the need, the confidence to push forward here. Fatal Stabber will dunk onto Slayon. The Sion is dead, which means the Baron buff will be opened up here. And actually, Raven gonna play aggressive onto Arlefeld, whiffing out on the Q. And as you can see, Arlefeld is confident to take this. He is sticking around, but arrives come the victor. Fatal Stabber has also arrived onto here. The traps placed defensively. Fatal Stabber will go into stasis. The W is gonna miss. Raven gonna E forward aggressively. Raisha gonna do what he can. Gets excited. That's great kiting, but the Lilia is too fast and too rapid for you to deal with, as it's only Ninus alive. This will be the inhibitor going down.
Great kiting and great spacing coming out from Raisha, right? Like, it lived for a very long time in a situation where I feel like he had no right to do any damage there whatsoever. It should be a Baron going over towards the side of Project Imperial, but I have to commend the side of Project Imperial, or the side of Primordial, sorry. This is a team that is down by 10k gold, and somehow, some way we keep on trading, and this is going to be a TP coming in as well.
TP coming in. There's the unstoppable onslaught. It's going to land onto two. Firecracker's actually already chunked down to low HP. Nis is going to try and do her best to kite away. We'll be able to get one. And Kaneki is going to fall to the Ninja's grasp. Primordials, how do you keep doing this? They're going to try and fight back. The Baron has been stopped. Why the world's in a 1 versus 2. But he's got the Scion passive to back him up. Adama, Fatal Stabber, they're the only two alive. The Super Mega Death Rocket is going to land onto a Fatal Stabber. And Why the Worlds is going to get a kill onto Adama. And somehow, someway, Primordials bite back in this fight.
Primordials are making the return. Sovanix isn't funny anymore. I was memeing it earlier, but now it's actually starting to look a little bit scary for the approach the Imperior, because you are looking at Alafeld, who's getting slowly more items, and now they're starting off the Baron as well. This could get scary.
Baron. There's only 2 members of Project Imperior to do this. A flash forward from Fatal Stabber. That's a big lilting lullaby onto 2. Why the Worlds is gonna get the stun onto the Lilia, and she will go down. So a big shutdown going into the hands of the Swain, and somehow Project Imperior, they are slowly throwing this game away, and Alafeld is dodging away from some Mystic shots. Raven gonna play some fancy feet, and Alafeld will go into stasis. Where has the Maokai gone? The hook is gonna be mistimed, but Alafeld misses the point blank kill. Also, oh my god, what the hell is happening? As Raven will die to the sapling in the bush, a teleport comes in. That's the 2 solo lane. It's a Project Imperior, as I feel this team fight has lasted as long as the Roman Empire, and Firecracker has gonna land the hook. Firecracker died 3 or 4 times the team fight. I swear, I'm not even gonna lie. It's, well, they can't even get the Baron because Slayon and Ninus have respawned into the game. Yeah, I don't know where to start the replay, but take it away.
Oh, it was a good TP coming in, right? Slayon gets the unstoppable onslaught straight onto exactly who he needed. Fatal Stabber gets a little bit CC onto himself, and Ninus just has no stacks left, no flash as well, ends up getting himself caught out. Kaneki goes down very early on, but still he gets to come back, because this team fight, like you said, Sovanix, lasted for about 17 minutes, according to my calculations, so definitely a good job from both teams to keeping themselves back into it, and
the fight was too long for the replay.
Oh, Ryshan.
Oh, Ryshan.
Oh, this is
danger.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're gonna show him the wave here, and actually, no vision. So this could be very scary. Keep your eyes on Firecracker. He's been landing some clutch hooks, and it's getting close to that period. The lilting lullaby is going to land onto 2 key targets, and you have to feel finally, actually, what the hell? Firecracker's gone down, and here comes the Nature's Grasp. So far, 2 kills only in the hands of Project Imperior, but keep your eyes on Ninus. Why the Wolves is also here. Slayon, you don't have the TP available, so he's going to be left onto the side lane. Fatal Stabber is going to be able to chase down the Zari, and W is going to drop onto Ninus here, and Fatal Stabber might have landed the fatal blow as Project Imperior. They will push through the base, and the only member alive is the Scion.
Slayon now gonna try to defend the base here. I doubt he can do it against 4, but still giving it his best shot, but getting burned ever so slowly on down. And this is what I was concerned about with this team comp. You saw the second Ryshan died, there was no damage, no carries, nothing left for the side of Primordials, and it's gonna be Project Imperior taking game number 1. And I said they were the favorites coming into this, and they definitely played like that.
Yeah, they played like that, but Primordials, they were so close to coming back into this game, and I'm a little bit confused by the Scion's decision to go into the side lane here, considering the fact that the fights were starting to even up. I feel like the no-brainer move, especially when you don't have TP, right? The no-brainer move is just group up with your Jinx, do the damage in the team fights, because you were starting to win out. And obviously that Baron the Baron, no one got the Baron in the end, which is the funny part. I feel like that Baron contest is lasting for so long that it could have gone either way. And in the end, Project Imperior, they benefit off that. But I mean, usually at the end of games, I throw the MVP question, but I don't think this is a question. Fatal Stabber, what a performance from him.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not gonna disagree with you one bit. Fatal Stabber was, in my opinion, the only reason the side of Project Imperial got as far as they did. Raven did have some good moves, but we said it ourselves, Sovanix. Really no action in the solo lanes for like the first 15, 10 minutes. Both of the solo lanes were 0-0-0. All the action was down in the bot lane. Ryshan, Raven, Firecracker, Adefeld, Stabber, and Wolves got themselves down and dirty very, very early on. And it looks like this time around, it does end up benefiting Raven a lot more than it did benefit Reichern. Reichern, granted, this is a Jinx that started the game 3-0, I believe, after those couple of first fights, and just couldn't get, I feel like, it to his feet after that. Although, I feel like the side of Primordials just, we talked about in Champ Select, right? This Jinx is only as good as the tanks around him. A lot of beef, a lot of meatballs. He was surrounded by the Sion, the Maokai, the Swain, all this health, and somehow Firecracker every time swooped and just curved and bent his hook around and somehow had the heat-seeking missile locked and loaded onto Reichern. Same with Fatal Stabber. I felt like Reichern just could not breathe with the Lilia and the Blitzcrank being around.
Yeah, and actually, something I wanted to talk about is something that Mikus or Savage wrote in the Twitch chat. Is I think the Primordials we've been seeing this split has been very underwhelming, but just off the back of this game, can this roster on their main roles has so much potential, and they don't, they're not all playing their main roles as we saw in previous splits, but you could see just here glimmers of hope with Raishan back on AD carry, Ninnis back on mid lane. This isn't a roster that should be in the depths of last place fighting in week 7 to not even get a chance at playoffs. They've qualified for playoffs, in consistent fashion in previous splits, and it's a bit sad to see how, I mean, they weren't amazing, don't get me wrong, but the potential that this team could have with Roshan at AD carry and Innes in mid lane. But nonetheless, a valiant effort that they should definitely be proud for. And we talked at the start of the broadcast about the stakes of this game. This is so important when it comes to the grand scheme of things, and for the grand scheme of playoffs, and for Primordials. You got to make sure that you bounce back with another game here. As if you go 2-0 down, you said it yourself, that's basically you done for playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I think to me, Sovanic's the biggest question, right? If the side of Primordials started the split like this, if Reichern was an AD carry to begin with, what would have happened? Because we saw Reichern was not playing AD carry for most of the split, and now that he's on AD carry, now that he's on, like you said, his main role, they just, to me, looked like an entirely different team, and a team that potentially could have been so strong heading into the split, because a lot of people were talking about Primordials as a team. This is a team that has so many just veteran players, right? This is a team that has so many players that have been in and out of SLE, been in past seasons, been in past splits, and now they're back, and their performance, like you said, has been underwhelming. But maybe if Reichern was on AD carry from day one, maybe they wouldn't be like, what, 210 at the moment, something along those lines. So
Yeah.
definitely interesting to see coming out of Primordials, and it does give me a little bit of hope going into the next game, but not a ton.
Yeah, not a ton indeed. But I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, he did start the game 3. I think he was 3-0 and 2 at some point, and maybe with a little bit more practice, he would have been able to snowball off that. But we will have to see. Do we have a quick break, or do we go straight into draft? Okay, great to hear, because I need to visit the lavatory. As don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back for game 2 after the break.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our Gloria to live forever. sheer and know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the Lightbringer. I am the Lightbringer.
Welcome back, party people. We've got game 2 draft already started. And, well, already, I'm seeing no Blitzcrank ban, but no Blitzcrank pick. How sad is that?
Nah, they didn't want to take it over to game 2. They felt like, Firecracker, he had his shot in game number 1, but this time someone else is gonna have to take the shining light, as it's gonna be the Rel locked in on that first pick. And looking at the bans so far, we do see the Lilia this time being taken away for the side of Primordials. They didn't want to go up against that again, and they'll take the Israel away as well. You can see the side of Primordials definitely took a couple of books out of the Project Imperior playbook.
Yeah,
And Ari as well.
Yeah, Ari as well. I think, well, they did pick the Aria last game, Ninnis, I think one of her best champions. Very interesting because this game, usually you don't pick solo laners this early into the draft. You usually wait for the second rotation of picks, but I think both teams seem comfortable to do that early on as Kai'Sa gets locked in. And Ezreal is quite a polarizing champion in the meta right now because a lot of people say he's insanely broken. A lot of people say doesn't really do anything. What's your viewpoint on Ezreal?
I mean, for me, personal experience, I feel like Ezreal is obviously not that good at the moment, in my opinion. I still tend to lean more towards in solo queue, at least, towards Xayah, towards things like the Kai'Sa that we're seeing on the side of Project Imperior, just because of the versatility that at least Kai'Sa can bring so many different builds. People have recently picked up on the lethality build as well, which is just another avenue for Kai'Sa, another build path for Kai'Sa, which can be very, very good in very versatile situations, which can be a very big plus for a champion like Kai'Sa. For me, Ezreal doesn't tend to do that much, but obviously the numbers don't lie. Ezreal's win rate has been climbing pretty substantially for the last couple of patches, especially this patch, and is being picked a lot right now. I am a little bit surprised to see the Ezreal being this high priority, because we did see last game as well, both Xayah and Kai'Sa were open and neither of them went through the draft. This time it's gonna be the Kai'Sa, and I mean, to me, it does seem like Project Imperior are drafting for that strong bot side once again, with the Rel, with the Kai'Sa, very strong combo coming through. But yeah, so far, seeing the Renekton ban coming through as well, Makai.
Oh, my mic is muted.
I was gonna ask, because you have a couple of times. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh gosh, that's embarrassing. No, I was kind of talking about how it's the same mid lane. Whatever, you go for it.
I do want to hear your viewpoint though.
No, I was gonna say same mid lane matchup here. The only difference is, last time Alafeld was on the Swain, this time on the Alistair. What we saw was that Victor's flash was getting blown on cooldown, but in between that, nothing happened.
I mean, yeah, pretty much, and we do see a Shackle. I think that's a complete bait. I was gonna say there's no way that's ever gonna go through. We are gonna see the Hecarim coming through first out of Project Imperior, and the Project Imperior are one of the teams that do tend to run the Hecarim, and in my opinion, if I'm not mistaken, the only team that runs the Hecarim, I feel like they have picked a couple of times in the past as well, tends to get good results when they do pick it, so it'll be interesting to see how it's gonna work out this time around. But yeah, like you said, same mid lane matchup this time around is gonna be Project Imperior, who are gonna have the victory just like last game against the Ari. And do you think, okay, Sovanix, do you think we're actually gonna get some KPA in the mid lane before 10 minutes, or do you think they're both gonna be 0-0 again? Prediction.
Based on champions, yes. Based on last game, no. I'm kind of looking at like Ari, Poppy, Alistar. You're playing Victor here. You're like genuinely pooping yourself in your pants on like how safe you're gonna have to play. And Hecarim traditionally not a. Oh, wow, Kale.
Kale.
Okay. Anyway, I'll touch on that in a bit. I mean, we'll get to that bad boy in a second. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. I reckon Victor will be fine. Because like, I mean, I don't know, because I'm looking at it right. I'm like, what lane does Primordials play for? It has to be mid lane. You're not going to play for an Ezra. Ezra's kind of like traditionally a weak side AD carry. You're not going to play for a Kayle because she's not a champion until level 11 or level 6. So Ari, mid lane is the only lane you can kind of play for. So if this Victor doesn't get focused down, then Primordials, like, I feel like that's kind of like the whole win condition of this team.
Definitely so, and I 100% agree with you, Sylvanix. You have an Alistar, you have a Poppy. Please, for the love of God, kill this Victor when his flash is on cooldown. It should be entirely illegal for him to just have flash, burn it, then you come back again in 5 minutes just to burn it again, and just repeat that cycle, which is what we saw in game number 1, which is why we saw that Kaneki sort of was not bothered in that mid lane in that matchup, which can be sometimes very difficult when you are playing against a setup jungler like a Maokai with an Ari. It can be very dangerous to play. This time, it is the Poppy in the jungle, so it is going to be a little bit harder to pull off if you do want to gank that Victor, but I still think you can pull it off if you coordinate it correctly, especially once you get that Everfrost onto that Ari. But Sylvanix, you wanted to touch on the bad boy in the top lane, so I'm going to let you start us off with the Kayle pick on the side of Primordials.
Yeah, Kayle, a champion that hasn't necessarily seen much light of day in the SLE. I think one player in a previous split, Kanatsi in Reef, was a big fan of the Kayle pick, and it was often banned against him. But outside of that, nothing comes to mind when it comes to SLE players on this champion. And I think Slayon is going to enter that short list of Kayle players here. And I actually think when it comes to the SLE, Kayle is one of those champions where it's like, dare I say, even better for the SLE than a Kassadin, because most games go to late anyway. It has one of the strongest late game power spikes in the entire game. And most top laners play tanks. You have a small handful of top laners who have a vast champion pool, but most of them play tanks. Like Sion was Sion last game. Ornn, how many times have we seen this champion being picked up? Ornn, don't get me wrong, a champion that can kill the Kayle, but traditionally you're not going to see much assassination coming out of this champion, despite popular opinion. So I think Kayle is a fantastic pick here because you've got great scaling. Hecarim is a champion that can gank in early game, but by the looks of this draft, Hecarim probably wants to spend more time clearing camps and protecting this Victor from the Poppy Alistar than spending time in their top lane playing for an Ornn. But obviously you want to try and punish the Kayle, so it's kind of like Hecarim has to make the decision here. Do I go top? Do I go mid to protect my Victor up against, this massive heavy CC that can jump on him? So I think the Kayle, I like it. I think obviously Kayle is a bit harder to play as a late game hyper carry than a Kassadin. Kassadin, you kind of just bash your head against the keyboard at level 16. Whereas Kayle, you kind of need to kite and auto attack properly. So I'm curious to see how this one goes. Slayon, honestly, despite his experience in the SLE and how many splits he's played, I actually don't know too much about the player. I do remember him playing Nasus before, so I guess that kind of fits the scaling angle. So Yeah, thanks for listening to my TED talk on Kale. Your turn.
I do think you covered the main points or the most interesting slash important ones. At least Kale is definitely a champion that we have not seen in a while, not only in SLE, but I would have to bring my mind pretty far back to remember when I saw it last in pro play, let alone in one of my solo queue games. This is a champion that very much under the radar, very much hidden. And it's not even hidden OP, it's just hidden because not a lot of people play it. And KL obviously is one of those champions where it automatically, when you lock it in, it gives you a win con, right? You can always play for the level 16, for that level 18 KL. Now, there has been some talk, or there was some talk in the community recently about how old Kale was, because old Kale used to be you basically hit level 16 and you automatically win the game. It was basically no matter what, you would just win because it was unstoppable at that point. Nowadays, there tends to be a lot more answers into the KL. It's not no longer just you hit level 16, it's GG, and you might as well just FF. Now you actually do have to play the game once you get to those late levels. Granted, still the hyper scaling monster we are used to seeing. You compared it earlier alongside the things like a Cassadin, which again, once you hit that level 16, it is just so much easier for you to play with that rank 3 ultimate as well. And I'm expecting in the early game for this top lane to be very much of a snooze fest. Orin again as champion, we see like seven times a week. Every time it's just Orin at least one of the games in the series. So nothing new there. Kale is new, but another champions of NX that we are yet to see or do not see often is the Hecarim on the side of Project Imperior.
Yeah, Hecarim, a champion that actually had a lot more presence in the earlier splits of SLE, has fallen down in power, which explains why it's not being picked as often. But I think in general, junglers in this league, they often try to stay away from carry picks. I think there are a few junglers that do pick them up, like I think Dutch on the Viego and Kindred. I've seen Obsidian go Talia, and well, now we see what's his face, Fatal Stabber picking Lilia and Hecarim here. Shout out to Bomba Lekazar, our favorite jungler in the league. Come on, man. We haven't seen we don't necessarily see carry jungle as a thing in the SLE. A lot of teams pick up junglers to operate as this facilitation and tank duty on their rosters. So hence why Hecarim isn't as commonly picked as it usually is. But I know that this champion, if played correctly, can be absolutely devastating, almost to a point where like you can't really do anything about it. It kind of just rolls around, rolls over your team, and just takes everyone out one by one, just spinning around like a goddamn helicopter on crack. The only thing here is you're up against a Poppy and an Alistar, which are two champions that are fantastic into what Hecarim does. So that is something that Fatal Stabber will have to keep in mind, and he did a great job on Lilia last game. It's a stellar performance. Dare I say, kind of carried alongside Raven on the Ezreal. So I can imagine he is a player that would be able to take this Hecarim and perform well. But I always feel with Hecarim, you do definitely need your laners to be strong.
Yeah, definitely. So, and to me, Hecarim as well is kind of a champion where you are only as strong as the people around you. Like you said, you need your lanes to be on point, and definitely lanes you can play around in this game. Rel Kai'Sa is something that we have been seeing for a couple of patches now. Ever since Kai'Sa became this sort of pseudo OP, we've seen it pair things up like the Nautilus and Rel alongside those sort of engaged tank supports, and definitely something that on the side of Project Imperior you can play through. This early game on Rel Kai'Sa can be absolutely fantastic and can output so much damage if you can land those combos. And definitely you can facilitate that playstyle on Hecarim. If game one is anything to take from, if Fatal Stabber's performance and his confidence on that Lilia in that game one is any clue as to what's gonna happen in this game number 2. 19-7 on 15 in that game 1. Then the side of Primordials might be in a little bit of trouble against this hacker.
Yeah, they could be, and well, we talk about Primordials being in trouble. That's kind of been the story of their split, unfortunately. But they do have this one game here, and Dasa, how important is it that Primordials even up the series here?
I mean, this is do or die for them. Like this is this is the most important game they're gonna have, and you can tell as well because they want some more time to think about it. They put it onto a break. They're like, hold on, guys, we're not quite done yet. The 3 minute spectator delay was not enough for us to get our heads together, so they're gonna take a little bit longer to take things on through. But that's okay because that gives us more time to ramble on about things that don't actually matter. Because once the players hit up that rift, it is only the hands that matter and only the hands that make the difference. And so far, all the hands have been on side of Project Imperior and all the hands have been on Firecracker. So definitely looking forward to seeing what he can do in this game number 2.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think a support player that is, for me, a very exciting player to watch. Project Imperial, obviously. We all know they're not exactly a top team in the SLE, but they do provide some entertaining games, and well, Firecracker is a big engager for them. But I have to say, Fatal Stabber, I don't know if he was their original jungler. I believe before he came in, it was oh, it was someone else. I forgot the name, but yeah, I think ever since he's come in, Project Imperial have looked so much better. No disrespect to the other guy, I think it's just a stylistic thing. But yeah, Primordials, super important game for them, and yeah, they can't afford to drop this game. As well,
Definitely not.
that being said, they can afford to walk up aggressively here. They have
Oh,
no
no.
idea that there are two people in this bush, and Firecracker is gonna kick off where the last game ended, and he's gonna get an engage onto Raisha and brought to low HP. He's gonna use the flash to try and get away. Raven, one more auto attack. What are you doing? What are you doing? His Raven goes absolutely, he loses his mind as he flashes under the turret, gives away first blood to Raishan.
Reichern getting about the freest first blood he's had all day. The freest kill he's had all day. I'm a little bit confused as to how the hell this ends up in Reichern securing first blood. And look at the initial engage. This is absolutely beautiful. Firecracker finds the engaged solo missiles onto Reichern out of Raven. Huge damage coming through. But I have to question the summoner choice here because you are looking at a Rel Kaisa. You want to play aggressive, and they are running Exhaust on Firecracker and Flash Ghost on Raven. Imagine if you had an Ignite right there. The difference it'd make. And I'm... Sovanix, can you try think of a reason why they have Flash Ghost and Exhaust instead of Ignite? Because I can't think of one.
Flash Ghost, I mean, it makes sense against Poppy Alistair because you kind of need to kite them, and you know, Kaisa does use Ghost pretty well. But obviously, you know, as you said, kind of perfectly, if you don't have that Ignite tool, then you don't really want to take a straight up 2 versus 2, let alone under the enemy turret. So I think, yeah, definitely a bit of an oopsie from a Raven there, but I mean, hey, you got to do it. You saw Red, Ezra has won it. It was a bit unfortunate because the Kaisa Cube went onto the minion wave instead of the Ezra, and obviously if it had gone onto the Ezra, then it's like 1-for-1 and something. You're like, okay, but yeah, unfortunate that wasn't the case.
Yeah, unfortunate beginnings here for the side of
Oh, actually,
Imperior.
Kaneki getting full comboed up and Ignite dropped onto his head. Ninus getting a kill, so kills in 2 lanes in 2v2s and 1v1 for Primordials. This could be exactly what they need to bounce back into the series.
Ninus said no more 0-0-0 for me. I've had enough of sitting around and just losing the game all around my team. This time takes control of that mid lane, an early solo kill coming through. Ignite will be burnt for it, but Kaneki does still have his flash up and has still secured and held on to that. Now Wolves in the bot lane might try to make a play here, but he does know that with the push on their side, doesn't have a play there. Instead, just goes for the base, but a sneaky invade here coming through from Fatal Stabber is going to be able to take the chickens away.
Well, nice invade. I think Faith Stab, I'm quite impressed with his pathing here, and yeah, already a little bit ahead of the Poppy, but you're not too concerned about that. I think as lanes go, Primordial's very happy with the situation. So, Innes playing this RA to perfection. Yeah, you have to be really happy with the situation if you're Primordials here. 800 gold lead in 4 minutes is great for them. Kill on Ezra, kill on Ori. Things are going well. How can this go wrong?
Kind of like last game where Firecracker just completely pops off and they all just kind of die one by one. But I mean, definitely can go wrong with a Raptor restart. Just tempo, man, tempo. Now he's gonna be late to Krugs. Now he's gonna be 2 seconds late to. Oh, it's just all going a disaster for the side of Imperior.
Oh, FF.
Yeah, I'll just move on. It's GG. But Wolves said, you can take my Raptors, but I will be taking some of your Wolves in return. Although it will be a gold gained for Fatal Stabber. Good look for a play on the bot lane as well as Reichern and Arfeld are both pushed up.
Pushed up here. Fatal Stabber not seen on a ward. Actually, I don't know if that ward in that bush timed out just in time for Fatal Stabber to walk in. Firecracker gonna stun up Alefeld first, double knock up and push away the Rel. Fatal Stabber gonna choose Alistar as his target as Alefeld being brought to low HP. Few auto attacks being dropped down by Raven, but once again goes up too aggressive. The exhaust dropped into the Kai'Sa. Reichern pushing forward to do big damage, dodges away from Firecracker.
Oh no. Oh no.
We could have just flash queued, no?
Yeah.
It's fine, it's fine. Yeah, you go for it.
I mean, you asked where it could all go wrong, and that right there is a good start for Arfeld. But Raven or Reichern doing a beautiful job of piloting that Israel down in that bot lane. You could just see they were not scared. They knew exactly their limits and what they could do. Reichern as well exhaust onto Raven to make sure that his support does not end up dying. They do end up trying to target Alistar, but just doesn't have enough damage on this Kai'Sa and Hecarim at the moment to be able to burn that target down fast enough. And you can see as well, Fatal Stabber is gonna get the crab taken right in front of his eyes, which is one crab less for this man. Now Arfeld is in the top lane, so this could be dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous. Fatal Stabber going to try aggressively invade, and
What?
I don't know about this one, buddy, because there's 3 people in your face, and that looks vicious in a way, as Project Imperior is going to give away another free kill to Primordials, as the Chaos Storm is going to get dropped onto Ninus, would just be used for wave clear, but yeah, Project Imperior, a lot of individual mistakes in game 2 here.
Yeah, Sovanix, I'm a little bit confused here because this is not the Project Imperior we saw in game number 1. This is, like you said, some confusing calculations coming out. You can see Fatal Stabber try to get the Raptors. He really wanted some KFC before he went back on home, but Wolf said, no, this is my establishment. I own the franchise and I deny you off service. Ended up taking his life for the attempted steal as well. We are so far seeing all the kills go the way of
Oh, there you go. That's how you do it.
Hey!
He saw he was on camera. I was like, let me show you guys that.
He waited for us to pan the camera down to the bottom just so we could do that and walk away.
Okay, wait. To be fair, that combo isn't exactly like super easy. I think it just looks really goofy when you miss it. Because like the guy just flies to Narnia and you just pound the ground to nothing, right?
There's a couple of those kind of abilities in the game where it looks really funny if you do miss it.
What isn't funny is a 3-man jump onto the Alistar here. And speaking of hitting spells, everything is going to land onto the cow as Raven is going to get himself Project Imperior's first kill of the game, which opens up a potential dragon take here.
Stabber might not have the KFC, but he finds himself a nice patty down in the bot lane. Alpha ends up dropping.
That's good. That's
and
great.
The Mountain Dragon should go over to the side of Project Imperior. Fatal Stabber is going to secure himself an early objective, and this is the first time we're seeing things go their way. All the wolves... Wait, hold on.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh gosh. Anyway, Primordials get the dragon somehow because Victor went back to mid lane without finishing the dragon, and I, I forgot I was supposed to cast. I just like couldn't believe what I was seeing on the screen. Anyways,
I just think I need to stop saying good things about Project Imperior. Every time I do, it just ends up backfiring immediately. You can just see like, Kaneki just waddles back into mid lane. Like he doesn't want any part of this. He's just gone. Wolves finds his way in. The keeper's verdict is very good to knock away the Rel. And at that point, it is just one horsey versus a dragon and 5 other members of the side of Primordials. And guess who wins that fight? Primordials do. And now you can see Alpha looking for a play in the mid lane.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate as well, Hollefeld is going to cosplay some KFC here. Does have Hex Flash and Kaneki in danger. Knocked back to Ninus, and the force field is going to stun up Hollefeld. So Kaneki will have to use the flash to get to safety. Crucially survives, but more crucially, that Victor's flash is down. And you can see this game already punishing the Victor a lot more than last game.
Okay, but this time we re-gank the Victor while the flash is down,
Oh, he's
right?
doing it straight away.
Okay, this is big. This could be big. If he doesn't get himself caught, Fatal Stabber is around, gonna try to go for his Raptors. Now, RFL could look for a sneaky steal, but he's not gonna do what Stabber did, not gonna go for the Raptors when he is outnumbered. And this is where they need to look for the Victor while the flash is down. Firecracker is not gonna hit the stun down towards that bot lane. Ninus does have Ignite, does have his ultimate, could look for a solo bolo in the mid lane now that Kaneki has no flash. Chaos Storm, although is up, does make it a little bit difficult with the silence that comes out when you cast it onto the enemy champion. You can as well see good vision control for the side of Primordials down towards that bot lane. And so far this game has been all Primordials.
Primordials have been looking so good this game, but obviously not over yet, and based off last game, there is obviously that potential to throw away your lead, but for now, Primordials in a comfortable position, and I think everyone watching is hoping that Primordials get to win. You know, we love their participation in the SLE. They are staple members of our community, and we definitely want to, or hopefully see them grab a win in the SLE here, and this is going to be their best chance to do it. You've got the Ezreal, who's really far ahead. You've got Ninus, who's far ahead here. Rift Herald going to be taken by one of the Wolves and actually fighting bot lane as a full engage comes down onto Reicha, and the exhaust is going to be used. Victor Stabber using that Hecarim ultimate, fearing him up, and Raven is going to get the kill. Just as I was praising Primordials, Project Imperior go into bot lane and get a kill onto the Ezreal.
Beautiful onslaught of shadows, and I'm the cursor of Project Imperior, you're the cursor of Primordials, because this time you talk them up and they just die immediately. You can see Referral down towards that top lane. Good. Ooh, this is a sneaky dodge there from Adaban, the keeper's verdict. It's gonna be able to give some plays.
Yeah, that was nice. Well, talk about flashless Victor. Ninus is going to punish that to high degree as, gosh, Ninus on this Ari is having a stellar performance, knocking against the wall from Why the World, and that's just going to be a solo McBolo from Why the World. Adamo next to focus as Sleon, if a kill picks up a kill this early into the game, never mind, as Why the World will be able to secure that one, and Primordials kills all over the game. This could be that game that they take up against Project Imperior.
Definitely so, looking so much stronger in this game number 2, and I do agree, I would have liked to potentially see that kill given over to Sleon, but a kill is a kill nonetheless, whether it is on the kill, whether it is on the Poppy, and I was a little bit confused by Adamo's flash there. I think he just panic flashed to try to save his jungler and keep him on alive, but this time it is gonna be Kaneki as well into falling on the solo kill in that mid lane. And I was talking about whether Ninus wanna look for something aggressive with the ultimate and the ignite, ends up looking for something aggressive and finds himself some meaty victor in that mid lane.
Yeah, much better this game because, actually say, no mana. It does have flash, but this is a strong Ornn, because an Ornn is always strong, but won't be able to get away. But yeah, that perfectly put. Ninus making the most out of the Ari this game, and actually Kaneki 0-2 at least keeping up with farm, so not doom and gloom, but Adamo might be doom and gloom for you as well. Ooh, beautiful dodge away from the E there, using the charge forward, and we'll get away.
That might be the first time I've ever seen that interaction, I think. I don't know, it just leaves you still to where he was, but That is funny nonetheless. Firecracker.
Firecracker face checks Arlefeld, and this Rel is actually just gonna go down. Gonna try and land everything he can, but in the end, it's just not enough. Ignite Exhaust popped onto Raven. Will flash forward aggressively and actually going to be able to trade a kill back. Fatal Stabber is nearby. He's almost arrived. Can he save the Kaiser? Won't be there in time. The E will time out, so it will be a 2-for-2 in the bot lane. So both bot laners will come out even for that one, but in the end, Raven, a little bit of a fancy mechanical play there onto the bot lane of Primordials.
And the bot lane action continues. I want to highlight this from Firecracker because even at the brink of death, you can see gets all of these cooldowns out by so much time. And the flash from Raven is so gorgeous. Solo missiles onto Ryshuren somehow, because of his positioning, is absolutely gorgeous. So much damage onto Ryshuren even through the exhaust, and you can just see the both sides are absolutely firing on all cylinders in this game.
Yeah, both sides going very aggressive as Alefeld will find another combo onto Firecracker. Just get the movement speed buff and stuns up the cow. So we'll be able to get out there. And Dragon getting started up by Why the Wolves. And with Fatal Stabber across the map, I don't think there will be any contest onto this.
It definitely shouldn't be, although Alefeld is stepping up pretty far out, so we could see a potential engage come through, but Firecracker is just buying a little bit of time and just baiting them on in as the chem plants will be blooming. It does look like we will have a Chemtech Soul in this game number 2, and so far we are as well seeing Fatal Stabber step to a little bit more towards the solo lanes than we did see last game. And Sloan again on that KO, just looking to scale, looking to go into that late game and looking to pick himself up a little bit more items. And so far both teams are just looking to scale. 4k gold lead at the moment for Primordials, with most of that being on Ryshuren.
Yeah, Ryshuren is in a very, very good spot here on the Ezreal, and despite trading 2-for-2 whilst ahead, I think Ezreal, you can see those Qs are doing big damage in the bot lane. I have to say, Why the Wolves, 3-0, they're falling a little bit under the radar, has had a fantastic game, and big shout out to him for that, because in first game, a little bit rough on the Maokai, wasn't able to do much, but this time looking much better. Zalafeld will combo up Firecracker, and talk about a good game. Interrupts the escape plan for Firecracker. Why the Wills is not actually going to pick up another kill for him as Kaneki is going to teleport into the fight. Raven is going to take down Ryshuren already, and they are going to have to be on the run, but Ninez has arrived, going to get a reset already onto Firecracker, going to jump even more forward onto Raven. Everfrost landing. This Ori is going absolutely crazy. No more resets available, but Kaneki is going to drop a laser down, and Arlefeld and Ninez will combo up to get another kill. The Ori has arrived into the bot lane and is causing absolute chaos in the face of Project Imperior, and Ninez goes absolutely crazy in the bot lane fight.
Ninus breathes chaos. He absolutely douses and lives that thing, as you saw Raven just make a very good jump into the backline. But look at Ninus arrive here. Firstly picks up the kill onto Firecracker there. Very low HP. Gets one reset, another reset from Raven. The Everfrost is so good and just dancing around. It is like salsa when Ninus is involved, because he's just moving up into the enemy space and just taking them one by one like a sniper in the wind.
What a clean play coming up from Ninus. Those were some prime Ori mechanics, and this is what we were talking about. This was the potential of Primordials on their main roles, and it was so sad to see that they decided to off-roll throughout the whole split, because this is the Primordials that we could have seen.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I mean, imagine if they did this from day one, right? Looking so strong in this game number 2. Game 1 was a little bit shaky. They did need some time to get their boots together and just get back on used to their main roles. But once they have, you can just see Nina so confident on this Ari Shadow Flame finished up as well. And this is the thing, once Ari gets fed, because of it being Ari, so damn hard to shut down, right? Basically 4 flashes in your kit, and if you die with that, I feel like it's always on you to keep yourself alive rather than the enemy team killing you, so to speak. So definitely so far Ninus has had, like you said, Sovanix, a beautiful game for himself. And I do want to talk a little bit about the comp of Project Imperior because they have a lot of these champions who dash in, a lot of engaged champions. They have the Ornn, they have Firecracker, they have Fatal Stabber, who are very good, yes, but why the Wolves presses one button and negates all of that as Ryshan is gonna get engaged on?
Yeah, well, these guys will press multiple buttons as Ryshan is going to get absolutely wiped off the map. The Kaiser is going to pick up that one, and Olafeld is going to get stunned up. Mid lane turret taken in the meantime. There's 3 people trying to hit down this Alistar. Olafeld will knock Firecracker under the turret, but 2 kills going into the pocket of Raven, and a shutdown as well. This Kaiser is going to become online.
Raven just picking up all these kills. Firecracker again doing what he can for his AD carry. I don't know, could be in trouble.
Yes, Leon is going to get the turret behind Adama, and why the Wolves is going to arrive, sadly taking another kill away from the Kale. But yeah, nonetheless, the Kale is going to start getting accelerated. National's Tooth already in hand, 2 levels away from level 16. Primordials, they are starting to close in on that ever-needing victory. Project Imperior, not out of the game, but it's not looking great so far.
Definitely so, but Fatal Stabber should... He jumped onto a minion?
Yeah, jumped on the minion, I think, as Slayon wasn't knocked back, and you can already see the Kale doing big damage. Project Imperior will try to get this shutdown on off the Kale, and great defense there from Wire the Wolf, protecting his quarterback Kale despite taking all of his kills. Firecracker, it might get in range to stun up the Slayon here, as Wire the Wolves is going to completely outplay Fatal Stabber. Raven is going to arrive into the top lane using the Ghost to try and close the distance, but it will just be a 1-for-1, which means Primordials, they will be able to get the dragon on the bot side.
Somehow, after all that, it's only a 1-for-1. Like you said, Drake will go over to the side of Primordial. Sole point for them, as Leon is going to TP back in towards that top lane. Could look for another fighter, does still have the ultimate up and available.
Ooh, does have the ultimate available, but a full engage goes down onto the kill. There's the ultimate coming in, protecting her from going down. Olafeld is a very tanky cow, so it's going to take a while to chunk him down. There's 4 members hitting him and doing as much damage as he can. Instead, Firecracker gets knocked into the waiting hands of the Kale. Ninus has now arrived, Everfrosting Ornn up, rooting down into place. A beautiful flash over the wall is going to get Adama to safety, but keep your eyes on the mini-map because Ryshan is now going to want to get a piece of this cake as he's going to go somewhere, going on a little journey into the bush. Maybe it was different, but on my screen it looked like it's walked past him as yeah, kill onto Firecracker means Baron gets started up. There's only going to be 3 members hitting it as Olafeld finds a catch onto Fatal Stabber. Call of the Forge God is going to come through. Ninus dodges away from it, but it's going to get landed onto the Ezreal. Raven jumps into the entire team of Primordials. The Q's are going to land, and he's going to go on a killing spree. Project Imperior, they're going to bite back into this game. No vision onto Slayon here. The Kale is strong, and Raven sees that. Going to back away from this bush here, but going to get some support from his team. Adama on the flank. Kaneki on the front line, and they're going to bring the damage down onto the Kale. Raven getting another shutdown, and the Kaiser is getting so much gold into his pocket, and Project Imperior, they bounce back into the game.
Raven just getting up huge there as well, and this is the type of situation where the side of Project Imperial, they shine as a team. These chaotic, these misfit situations where they engage, start onto Fatal Stabber, but just uses Olafeld as a tool to get himself out, just so he can jump back on in onto HP. Not entirely sure about the move there, but Raven just getting himself into that backline beautifully, and it should be a Baron secured as well, although...
No. Okay, he didn't get in as Baron secured for Project Imperial. That is absolutely massive for the state of the game and could buy some time for Project Imperial, buy some time for Raven to scale up and carry this game through. He has already performed so well, and with Baron in the pocket, Primordials, it was looking so clean, and they're starting to throw the lead.
Yeah, definitely so, and I mean, this is where the game state gets interesting. Look at the goal between these 2 teams. It is a significant difference of 300, which at this point is not a significant difference whatsoever in League when it comes to 23 minutes of the game, right? And you can see as well, most of the gold I would assume is on Ninus. If we can take a quick look before they start fighting again, I would love to see where most of the individual gold is had, and it is actually a 3,000 gold lead in the bot lane for Ravin, and you can tell this Kai'Sa is very accelerated. A gold lead as well in the top lane for the side of Primordials, and this mid lane is surprisingly even actually. Kaneki's been picking up some sneaky kills, which I've completely missed, and he's actually on even footing now with Ninus.
Even fitting indeed, and well, for the Victor, very good scaling champion, and that's the thing about getting ahead in the early game. You can't. It's not like previous seasons in League of Legends where you can kind of just face roll the enemy team without worrying too much about dropping or throwing too much gold. There's a lot of shutdowns, and a lot of shutdowns went into the hands of this Victor and the Kai'Sa, which has evened up the gold differential by quite a heavy amount. Primordials, obviously, they have 3 dragons in their pocket, so they are happy with that, but they keep giving on shutdowns. Project Imperial will get back into the game as well. The Wolves will try to play spoiler to the comeback to Project Imperial, and there's so much damage coming onto Firecracker. A beautiful Magnet Storm into stun. That's going to be a massive turnaround. Firecracker once again completely outplaying their opponent, and Kaneki going to get the double kill. Fatal Stabber into the enemy turret, and he's going to go drop down to Ryshan, but in the end, Project Imperial, they win out on the team fight.
And this is where the strong suit of Project Imperial lies. Team fights, playing as a fight, playing as a team. The grease machine coming through there, and Sloan just trying to get the solo XP, trying to get these levels. You can see level 15 for the KO, level 16 very soon, just trying to reach that milestone. And with the Baron buff, the side of Project Imperial able to secure that tier 1 in the mid lane, although gonna be one in the bot lane is gonna lead to absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Is no teleports available, so Slam won't get flanked on, but is going to get pressured here. You can see Project Imperial members, they have walked into the bot side of the map because this dragon is going to be crucial for them to secure. I want to know, look at the XP bar of Slayer. So close to that level 16. And this has been a back and forth game somehow, but you have to feel as soon as this KO hits 16, that is where Primordials should be able to take this game home, as Firecracker is engaging all by himself, but it's a massive engage, and Slayon is going to go down without using his ultimate. Fatal Stabber knocks one of the Wolves back into his team. Raven goes dominating as Project Imperial are starting to win out on the fight. Look at the damage coming out from Kaneki. A rough late early game, but a beautiful late game coming out from him. Firecracker has turned around the game for his team. These engages have been massive for Project Imperial, and his carries are going to benefit off that. Quadra kill coming in from Raven, and Project Imperial gold lead now in their hands.
Firecracker is absolutely cracking it up. Slayon just falls without even using his ultimate because he's stunned and knocked up, and just so much CC coming out, and Raven again just jumping into that back line. So much confidence on this Kai'Sa. He is so far ahead that he just says, screw it, if I see an angle, I'm using it. Ninus left, all to his lonesome. And like you said, Project Imperior slowly but surely coming back into this game. But Kaneki is gonna engage.
Game of oversteps, and the Victor just gave a massive shutdown to the KO. That is absolutely disastrous for Primordials, and that might have swung the game back into their favor, as why the Wolves is going to stun Firecracker up against the wall. Raven going to push forward aggressively, but look at Olafeld. That's a massive knock up onto that Kai'Sa. Call of the Forge God will come in. It's going to knock up too. The Poppy is brought down to low HP. The KO, your teleport. Why aren't you using it? As the fight could have been absolutely massive for Primordials. Instead, they're actually going to trade a kill back to 1-for-1 for now, but that KO just picked up a huge shutdown, and look at his inventory. Rabadons, Nash's Tooth, Riftmaker, level 16. Primordials, you were throwing the game, but now it's all on Slayon because the gold is on him.
It is all on this KL. We talked earlier about the pivotal point of 16. Whether Slayon can reach that in this game is gonna be a huge matter, and guess what? He has. We are here now. It's all up to him. It is all up to the positioning. It is all up to the ultimate usage. All these minimal, all these minor things that suddenly might not have mattered earlier is gonna make all the difference in this late game, as we are about to reach 30 minutes, about to have another Baron spawn in 10 seconds, and Sovanix, this could be the fight that ends it all.
Oh, this could be, but this is the last thing you need as Primordials. You just need to group up together and fight with your carries. Instead, Olafeld gets picked off on the side, and the Baron gets started up with the tank engaged, taken down. You can already see the damage that the Kale is able to do. Look at that damage. The ultimate is going to come in, and the smite comes in halfway through the Keeper's Verdict. So Baron gets secured, but you already saw this Kale is an absolute monster. So Project Imperior, they will have to play cautiously, and they do get the Baron secured, and Fatal Stabber is going to go forward, but Slayon is going to absolutely one-shot him. This Kale is online, doing massive damage. The teleport comes in. That's going to be Adamo. Is he going to call the Forge God? He isn't going to trigger that right now, as he knows that Kale is going to absolutely shred him if he forces anything. Just as I said, with Kale, Cassidy, these champions, once they hit that power spike, it is so scary.
It's very scary. Good job from Adamo there to hold his cooldowns. Fatal Stabber just jumps in a little bit too early.
Why are you on red? As he's gonna get chunked down. The Kaiser is gonna absolutely shred him to bits. As oh my god, oh my brain. Primordials, just group up together and fight as a team. You have a level 16 Kale, but with no Poppy available. Adamo is going to use the Call of the Forge God, and the Kale, he's going to try and shred down this Horn, but a massive engage into the back line of Primordials. Linus and Reicher will try to run away. The Kale ultimate is going to be used, so Firecracker is going to go down, but with no protection available, so does Slayon, and the kills come through. Primordials. Oh gosh. Okay. Yep. All you have to do was group together and play with your carries, but they are unable to do so. And Project Imperior, this might be the game-winning push.
And if we talked so much about Slayon, Raven said, screw Slayon, I'm gonna go for Risharan, I'm gonna go for everybody else. As you can see, Project Imperial pushing into the base, looking to end this game right here, right now.
Yeah, might look to end the game, but Kaneki getting chunked up by Ninus means that they will back off. They don't want to give another big swing of gold into the hands of the carries of Primordials. And as someone said in the Twitch chat I saw, no matter what happens, you can almost guarantee this game is going to go 40 minutes. And we're 31 minutes into the game, no inhibitors taken despite massive teamfights happening. And the game is still in the hands. You have to feel Primordials. If you get the hands on this dragon, it'll be massive. Definitely. Oh, and actually, full engage onto Firecracker from Why the Wolves. The Kale hasn't arrived just yet. Charm gonna go wide. A true shot barrage only landing onto Firecracker. Why the Wolves trying to look for an aggressive engage here. And they've got access into the Baron pit. This is massive priority into mid lane as well. They have no vision of Slayon at the moment on the Kale. Olafel playing aggressive. A one-man engage just for now. And the engage from Firecracker is gonna get interrupted. The call of the Forge God is good. Why the Wolves gets the Kale ultimate, so we'll go invulnerable for now. Just spells straight at Olafeld, gets a massive engage, but there's no follow-up, and the cow is getting chunked down by the members of Project Imperior. Keep your eyes on Kale, because he's in the middle of everything, and the damage is coming through from Project Imperior. Raven goes legendary, Raven goes absolutely massive, takes down the Ezreal, and Slayon, you might have been a strong Kale, but the strongest on the map is Raven. 18 kills on the board. Project Imperior take the early game lead from Primordials and shove it down their throats. That's going to be the 2-0 coming in from the Greek team.
The Grease hail high. 2-0 coming out from Project Imperior. Primordials, even on their old roles, even trying to switch people around. It is too little, too damn late, as it's gonna be a 2-0 coming through for the side of Project Imperior. And what a series we had, Seven. It's both of these teams came here to fight. Both of these teams came here to absolutely brawl, absolutely duke it out, and that's exactly what they did.
What a series indeed. I'm genuinely, yeah, apologies for the cast, but I've actually never been, I've never been brought to a point of frustration on a cast before, because Primordials, your Kale hit 16. We saw like just a few auto attacks over the Baron pit wall. if you just play together, play as a unit, play for that KO, this game is basically you basically win. And instead, we see Alistair trying to make a flank by himself. We see Poppy invading red buff this late into the game, and mistakes like these throw the game away. They were so far ahead in the early game, and as much as Project Imperial walk away the victors over this last game, I feel like it wasn't so much Project Imperial winning, it was more Primordials losing.
I mean, definitely so, but Sovanix, to me, that's been the story of Primordials, right? It has just been them just losing pretty much. This is a team that, just to share a little limelight on their standings, 2 in 12 after today's series. The last team in standings, the last team on the board. And to me, Project Imperior is a team that is strong when they play together. They are a team that looks good when they play as five and when they just play as a team, exactly like we saw today. Ravin absolutely popped off in that game number 2 on that Kaiser. Like you said, 18 kills, went godlike, I believe, in that last team fight. And just, to me, it's like you said, such a sad thing to see, because Primordials looked, or at least their roster looked so good going into the split, and it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't their split and was not their time to shine.
Yeah, and as you said, you broke it down really, really well earlier on. You go 0-2 here, your chances of playoffs are basically done. And it's sad to see. I think Primordials, we saw glimmers of hope and a lot of shining lights, but a little bit too late in the season. And you know, I think this might be a goodbye for Split 5 for them. But they of course will play out the rest of their games. Hopefully they won't drop out and still will continue to play. As, it was there were some fantastic showings, especially big shout out to Ninnis, because that early game, that early lane, absolutely Goomba stomped this Victor. But speaking of this Victor, Goomba stomping him in lane is one thing, but what a threat he was in the late game. Kaneki on the Victor, what a performance in those team fights, putting down so much damage alongside his carry partner Raven on the Kaiser. Those two popped off like crazy, and as much as we say our goodbyes, commemorations to Primordials, let's start singing the praises of Project Imperior, because I feel when they look good, they look really, really good. And in this game against Primordials, key members of Firecracker, Kaneki, Raven, all these players had such fantastic games here. And I'm super excited to watch these guys perform.
Definitely so, and I 100% agree with you, Sovanix. I think you hit the nail on the head. Project Imperial as a team, really high highs like we saw today, but their problem has been those really low lows, those games where they could just not get off those series. They're gonna end today at 6-8, but still, that is a rough position to be in heading forward, and it's gonna be interesting to see whether they can sort of pull their next few games together, because it is gonna be breaking point for them. Them, Black Manta, and Black Lotus are the teams that we are primarily gonna be looking at to make it out and to make it into playoffs, and if they can do it or not. And so far, we have seen good things from Project Imperial. Like I said earlier, when they play as a team, when they pick things like the Ornn, when they pick things like the Victor and play as this sort of team fight terror squad, they can look so, so good. But if they don't do that, if they can't get the champions they want, Kaneki's Victor, to me, is it's something that when he gets the Victor, it is so much above everything else that he plays. He looks really good on it, but he just looks mediocre, in my opinion, on everything else. And that's been one of the issues on Project Imperior. If they don't get their champions, and if they don't get what they want in a draft, they kind of go from being a really exciting to look at team, really being a really sort of good team, to being sort of kind of just meh, like we saw today. And so far, I wanna give as well the shining light to someone that doesn't often get recognition, a role that doesn't often wear the cape. Firecracker absolutely popped off today. And Sovanix, I don't know about you, but Firecracker gets my MVP of the day.
He gets my MVP too. I think honorable mentions, as you said, Kaneki and Raven, but I think that level one play from Raven is just gonna completely eliminate him from that nomination. But yeah, Firecracker for me actually probably one of my favorite players to watch in the SLE because when it comes to a team like Project Imperial, expectations there aren't exactly the heights of Vitagen or Pandas, right? Your expectations are a little bit lower. But he is a player that can pull off the engages of the likes of Loco, the likes of Later Day, the likes of Wiggies. He's a player that looks not in every game, but in the games that he does look good, he does look just as good as these players. And that Blitzcrank performance, that role performance, the amount of times where I thought this guy's caught out, this guy's dead. Suddenly he turns around, lands a three-man Magnet Storm into a three-man W, gets out alive. His whole team take out the team fight. That's off his back. That's him making those movements. That's him making those plays. And therefore, like I said, one of my favorite players to watch in the SLE. He's gonna be my MVP. Just like you.
Definitely. So good to hear that you do agree with me. And I feel like support is often a role that a lot of people don't look at as being the impactful, right? Because just you don't have the big numbers. You aren't doing that huge damage that we saw Revan do, like jump into the backline to one-shot people. But still, it's so important to have someone like Firecracker, someone who, for example, on the Blitzcrank, just hits those hooks constantly, and someone who you can rely on to be an absolute showstopper when it comes to these games. But with that being said, Sovanix, that is unfortunately going to be our last game of the day. 2-0 today for the Project Imperior, and the Grease will move on and they will be shining their lights, hailing themselves today as they do beat the side of Primordials 2-0.
Yes, they will. And with that, we will close out the stream. Thank you very much for watching. For Project Imperia, they will keep their playoffs hope alive. So keep your eyes on them because they pulled off an exciting performance today, and hopefully they can do so in following games. And we've got some insane games coming in this weekend, so be sure to hop by back on the stream later on. I believe there's going to be a banger game tomorrow. So yeah,
Couple games tomorrow.
yeah, a couple games tomorrow. So be sure to hop in for that one. And thank you very much, Dasa. Always a pleasure to join you on the cast desk. Thank you very much to Pepper for being the best goddamn producer this league has ever seen. And yeah, that's gonna be it from us. Have a lovely Wednesday evening. It is Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Wait,
Have a
there's
lovely
Thursday.
Wednesday evening, and
It's
enjoy
Thursday.
words. Enjoy words. Yeah. Oh, it's Thursday. Have a lovely Thursday. We both got it wrong. Have a lovely Thursday evening. Enjoy and support you at words tomorrow, or China if you're Asian like me. And have a good night.
See you.